So it's been quite a bit of time since I made a best Snapchat tricks and tips videos, and towards the end of the year we have no other videos to do, so might as well get into it. So I'll go and show you a few that have came out this year that I actually love. Now, I will tell you, in order to actually make sure and ensure that you can use all these features or that these features show up, what I would recommend doing is making your way over to your App Store or Google Play Store and pretty much just searching up Snapchat and making sure you're on the latest version of Snapchat possible. Because if you're not, then you're probably not going to be able to get any of these features. So keep that in mind. Just search up Snapchat, click on Snapchat right here, and just go and update the application. So in this case, I'll just update it. And this will, again, ensure that you will basically have the most recent version of Snapchat. That way you can basically have all the features. And that in and of itself can be a pretty good tip because you can unlock so many features just by updating this application. Now, the very first little trip or trick or trip, whatever you want to call it, is essentially the ultra wide mode within your Snapchat camera. So this in and of itself is a really cool feature. So some of you may not know this, but with your iPhone or Android, depending on which one you use, you have multiple lenses. If you have an ultra wide camera, you may just want to search up your phone model name as well as the specific, whatever the ultra wide camera if you have it. And what you want to do is you just want to go ahead and actually try going through and utilize that ultra wide camera on Snapchat. So if I go ahead and look right now, right, you can see I see all the lines. Well, if I go ahead and swipe with two fingers outwards, that did not work. If I go try one more, and you can see it's not working, but if I go and click on this button right here, I can go ahead and get into ultra wide mode just like that. So sometimes, like usually I'm able to zoom in and zoom out. There we go. So now it's zooming in, zooming out. And as you can see, it needs a lot of work, but that is a really cool thing that you have the ability of doing now. You can basically utilize an ultra wide camera. So not only can you still zoom in a lot if you want to and take a photo, but you can also go through, take that ultra wide camera right there, take a photo if you want to, and you have that ability as well. So I'd recommend taking a look at that. I think that in and of itself is really cool. And personally, I would probably recommend you all to utilize that ultra wide camera every once in a while because they can add a lot more, I guess, flair to your specific photo. So that in and of itself is a really cool little option that we have now too. Now, on our iPhone lock screen, right? If you have an iPhone, if you have an Android, you can also customize your lock screen a bit nowadays too. But we now have the ability of utilizing Snapchat widgets on our lock screen. So this is also a newer feature. So if you have an iPhone, also if you have an Android, you may be able to try this too on Samsung Galaxies. You can hold down on your specific lock screen like this. You can go and click customize. You can go and I guess add a new display if you haven't done it already. You can choose whichever wallpaper you want to. In this case, we will just use a stock one. So we'll just use this one. And if you want to go ahead and start adding widgets, you should now be able to see that there is a Snapchat widget available. You may have to scroll down for it. So now Snapchat gives you the ability of utilizing a Snapchat widget, which now kind of gives you a little bit more capability here too. So you have a few different ones. You can actually go through and use a single one, which will bring up the Snapchat camera. You can use this one, which should also bring up the Snapchat camera too, but just in a bigger format. Or you can jump straight into a group chat. So you can pin a friend or a group. And that is another really cool thing that you have the ability of doing as well. So here we'll just, open up the Snapchat camera. So now if I go and click on this widget, you'll see the widget is added. I can go ahead and you have to be on iOS 16 in order to customize your lock screen. So remember that. You can go and do whatever this one says. And now what you can do is you can just click on that little Snapchat button. And now look, it brings you straight into Snapchat. So if you're addicted to Snapchat like a lot of people are, well, that is another thing you have the ability of doing. And that in and of itself is really cool as well. So I'd recommend checking that out if you're into it because it's a cool little thing. Now on the right side of the panel, you can see we have a few different options. But you will also see that we have that plus button. Go ahead and click that plus button and you will get into this little pop-up at the bottom. Now this pop-up gives you a lot of different capability, just tons of features that you can actually use. Now one thing that Snapchat has given us basically now is this dual camera feature. So what we can do is we can go and click dual camera and watch what happens. It will basically give us a prompt at the top of basically how our photo will look as well as on the bottom. So you can see my camera on the top. Well, it gives you the ability of taking a photo from the top and the bottom at the same time. But if you want to do it the other way, you can also do it this way. So now it'll take a photo from the right side and the left side. But also, you can also do click right here. And it'll also kind of bring over like the be real kind of thing. So you can see this photo here. And if you double tap, it'll go and flip it. So you have a little bit more capability here too. So if you go and take a photo, you can see that you can basically do a lot more things within Snapchat than you normally could before. So you can take a photo from the front and the back camera at the same time, which I personally do think is really awesome as well. So clicking the X button here once more, if we go and swipe back up or just get into regular mode, So clicking the plus button again, we can get down here. And again, there's a lot more capability here as well. You also have multi-snap, which basically lets you take, multiple snaps in one specific screen or session, which is really cool. Now, here is another option that I like a lot. This is focus mode, I think is the best way to describe it. And essentially what it does is it'll focus in on that specific face, and it actually gives you a more like portrait mode type of experience, which I think is cool. So if you're somebody who's into that kind of stuff again, well, this is going to be another really cool feature for yourself as well. So if you're somebody who wants to go ahead and just kind of get a more like portrait mode type of esque or more professional looking photo on Snapchat, well, you have the capability here too, which is really cool. Now, I'm sure most of you know this by now too, but on the left and right side, you'll always have the ability of just clicking here and bringing in your photos if you want to from the past, if you've ever taken any. You can also click on the little filter icon here too. And this is absolutely crazy because it has just so many different things here. So as always, I would recommend scrolling through here, but also scrolling all the way to the end, which is all the way right there, past everything, and you can always search for your specific filters as well. So if there's something where you're searching, like there's a new trend or something, and you basically want to see, oh, I want to do that trend, I want to add that filter, you can always come over here and you can always search for those filters. And that is another great thing you can do as well. Just clicking up search up there. And if there's something trending, well, it's going to show you, and that is another option that you have as well. And again, that's something else that I'd probably recommend you to look at as well. Now, as always, as I mentioned before, on your chats here, another cool thing you can do is, if you want to side swipe, as I've always mentioned, you can always, grab the little, whatever that notification is here too, and swipe to the side. Now, I'm on the latest version of Snapchat, so it still works, and I think it's probably going to end up working forever. So you can grab this little thing at the side, bring it in like this. That's one option. You can side swipe, and you can see the messages before you actually open them. So I think that's cool. I use it sometimes. I don't use it all the time. But if you want to pin somebody's Snapchat message on your specific display, meaning that you want to go ahead and basically, you always talk to a specific person and you want them to always be at the top, what you can always do is highlight on that specific user like this. What you can do here is you can click Manage Friendship. And what you can do here is you can go and click Chat Settings, and you can click Pin Conversation. So what this little pin conversation option is going to do, you'll see a pin right there, and you'll basically be able to see that that notification or that user will always be at the top no matter what you do. If you get a lot more messages, if you get a lot more whatever, and that user is always going to be at the top. And I personally do think that's a really cool thing. If you're trying to pin your best friend or your spouse or your significant other, someone you're dating, or your mom, or whatever the case is, you can always pin them at the top and you can quickly just message them, especially if you're somebody who gets a lot of messages sometimes. You can always unpin that message by clicking here, clicking Chat Settings, clicking Unpin Conversation, and they will basically fall back into place. So those are pretty much kind of the main things that I would recommend looking into. There's always the other ones that you can always do as well, like, Snapchat tricks and tips, like so many other Snapchat things as well. So personally, I think that's a really cool thing that you have the ability of doing. And again, if you're missing out on some of these features, just go through and update your Snapchat application, and that will probably end up fixing and or giving you a lot of those features as well. So that pretty much covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, Zola.